The runoff elections are just around the corner, and Anniston candidates are on the campaign trail hoping to pull off wins.
Well, I look forward to a spirited debate with Mr. Reddick. The runoff, again, as you said, is October 6th. There were 5 candidates for mayor in the August 25th election. I knew that it would be difficult to win without a runoff. I believe that I will win on the election on October 6th. And again, I look forward to a spirited campaign with Mr. Reddick and the other city council seats that are subject to runoffs as well.
Voter turnout is very significant in this election. Voter turnout is going to make the difference between in every ward. Voter turnout is going to matter in each ward because in each ward we have a runoff election. So voter turnout is going to mean the difference between having a council member and mayor from an informed public that's voting in their best interest or having someone that just happens to have more friends.
Other candidates in the Anniston City runoffs include Ward 1 incumbent Jay Jenkins and challenger Dr. Angela Fears, Ward 2 incumbent Ben Little and Sierra Smith. Ward 3 runoff candidates are Demetric Roberts and Dan Douglas. The runoff election is October 6th. Vote. In other news, the majority of the Anniston City Council voted to remove the John Pelham Confederate Monument from the median on Quintard Avenue to Janie Furnace, a Confederate-themed park in Ohatchee. Councilman Ben Little opposed the move because of what he claims were legal issues.
Mr. Downey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Mr. Downey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
I want to ask you a question. Is it legal to knowingly and willfully, intentionally violate a state law?
Well, if you're violating a law, then you're doing something illegal. So you can't legally violate a law. So the answer to your question, the answer is no, it's not legal to violate this law or any other law.
Is it legal then to knowingly, willfully, and intentionally violate the state law and use public funds to cover that violation?
Well, the violation is one being committed by the city of Anniston, and the state law provides for a one-time civil penalty if a city, including Anniston, commits a violation. I don't know how you could pay that penalty without using public funds. So I think it's legal to use municipal funds to pay a civil penalty imposed against the city. Yes, I think that would be legal.
So, but anyway, I just wanted to get, first of all, it has to be legal to violate the law. So if you knowingly and intentionally violate the law, then that's a problem. But anyhow, I just want to get you on record. That's all. Here you go.
Our legal counsel has had discussions with the Attorney General's office, and it has to do with the Memorial Preservation Act of 2017, which Mr. Little was talking about. That's been debated by other cities, other counties. There have been lawsuits filed over that. Courts have dealt with the issue. But again, this is simply to, out of an abundance of caution, clean up a potential procedural issue.
Steve and Jason with Resourcing Edge had a proposal for the Anniston Council that could help with human resources.
Resourcing Edge is a firm founded in 2003 by our current CEO, Ted Crawford, in the Dallas area. Mr. Crawford has a deep career in the human resources services and technology business. Resourcing Edge operates in all 50 states throughout the United States, providing technology as well as benefit enrollment services for employees of our clients, payroll and tax administration, legal compliance, human resources expertise.
Let me ask you this, Jason, glad you make that. Sorry to hear about your father. The concern that I've heard, what they call me about, is this going to put me out of a job? Can you answer that? First of all, by putting this program in place, how actually, and I'm trying to get to that, how actually, I think you met with HR and see what we're doing now, and I think what the council be interested in seeing, if you pointed where would that save us the funding, and that's what we want. That's what we want to see. And I'm looking through it and want to see where by your conversation with HR and how would that help? How is it going to help the city?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Little. Happy to answer that question for you because it's a good question. It's a valued question and one that has to be answered because your employees in the city are valued as well and they value their jobs. Resourcing Edge is not in the business of displacing workers. We provide technology and support, human resources support services that makes the jobs easier for the city's employees, for our other clients' employees. Our goal is to help our clients gain efficiencies through purchasing power for technology and service, by vendor consolidation, and also by through our technology and through our service and support to help our clients become an employer of choice to retain their employees, not displace them. We would be seeking to be the vendor for human resources technology as well as various services, and in so doing would have to have a very good relationship with your current human resources team.
But again, Jason, in meeting with the HR director and seeing what we're doing, I think that's what we're trying to get to, what I'm trying to see. Monthly billing fee. I see this prepared for City of Anniston. This is what we're talking about, like for instance, the monthly billing fee, the payroll code, payroll/code, $1,208,333. Administrative fee, $35. Yada yada yada. Now, I think I'm trying to see. Like I said, I was looking for the comparative analysis. This is what we're doing. Here's how Resource Edge can help you in reducing that particular fee.
Yes.
That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for.
In our discussions with your Human Resources Department, we were able to confirm with their help that the processes that we work through are currently processes that they do use, many of which are manual at this time. There would be automation involved in using Resourcing Edge's systems and services. As for a direct comparison, cost comparison, Councilman Little, we know what our charges would be. We do not know exactly what the city of Anniston pays for a collection of services from, say, Tyler Muni's, from Kronos, for Workforce Ready, and for the various other human resources services that are used. We would love to draw up a direct comparison for you.
Hey, what's the problem in getting that? There's public information, isn't it?
No problem getting that.
Okay.
But I gotta answer that intelligent night, but for sure we can get, and we can get with Bashir, we can get that together. We can get to the council what we pay you and what we do. But I guess Bashir has to get that as well, so we can know exactly what you need.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
So y'all did meet with Ms. Dawson? Yeah, okay.
Through a conference, through conference.
But Jason met physically, face to face with her once or twice. Jason, you met her at the office, didn't you?
Yes, I've only talked with her.
They have not met that face to
Yeah,
face.
we've had 2 conferences.
As a part of this matrix of kind of cost comparison matrix, I'd also like to know what kind of success rate we're getting and those kind of claims and what kind of success rate Resourcing Edge has in resolving those issues as well. So it's got to be about more than just dollars. It's got to be about an end game for us. So I'd like to see that comparison in a holistic fashion and not just, hey, this is the services we're using, this is the services you would use, and this is how we can do better here and here. I'd like to see how we're doing in all of that.
And I think Ms. Austin wants to have that same question, that same conversation, because even during this conversation, there were questions that were passed back and forth. But I think I understand the guidance what the council want, and I will put them up with Ms. Austin, and we will try and get those end results for you all. We'll put that together.
For example, council member, payroll accuracy, would that be a comparison?
Yeah, that'd be
you want
one
to
of the
make?
metrics I would think we'd want to be looking at. You know, if we've got collection services, you know, how effective are we? How effective, you know, with is your firm showing to be, you know, those kind of metrics are the things that I'd like to be able to see.
Certainly. We'll be pleased to provide facts and figures on payroll accuracy, on-time delivery. For example, we'll provide, of course, in writing, Resourcing Edge processes about $1.2 billion of payroll for our clients' employees with in excess of 99.9% accuracy on an annualized basis. Facts and figures like that, backed up by references, I'm sure. Sure.
Jason, let me make sure I understand this right. You haven't met with Miss Austin face to face ever?
No, sir.
Didn't you drove here one day, you set up an appointment, and you drove here one day to do that?
Yes, sir, but we were only able to do it by conference call.
But didn't you drove here, didn't you?
Yes, sir, but it worked out. We had to do it by conference call.
Why is that?
It just didn't work out, so yeah.
You had an appointment to come here from San Antonio, Texas, not San Antonio, from Beaumont, Texas, here. And it got here and it didn't work out.
Well, Miss Austin it wasn't set up before we got here. It was set up when I got here. And so the time conflicted, didn't work, so we had to do a conference call.
Does anyone wish to be heard as to any of the effective address? Yes, sir. If you would, for our record, just please state your name and address.
My name is John Ezekiel Scoggins. I'm here to address not only the way that I was put out of my house with nowhere to go. I did go back there. I was arrested 3 times for trespassing there. Tana had told me she gave me her number. She said if anyone did call, to tell the officers to call her. I did that. They didn't call her. I was, arrested 3 times. The utilities were still turned on at the time. I wasn't provided another place to live. It's been several months ago. I still am without a place to live, despite my best efforts and other people's best efforts to try to find me a place to live. A rooming house. I've checked cheap motel rates. I've inquired about apartments. There's been nothing done. I still don't have a place to live. I'm still seeking housing after several months.
So, Mr. Folks, it sounds like you're working
Yeah,
on
can I swear we let me give
Yes,
us
sir.
that, we'll figure something out.
Can I ask a question? Who boarded up the windows on McClellan on Circle Drive on that building? We did an abatement. Did the city do that?
No, the owner did it.
The owner did it.
The owner hired somebody to do it.
So, but wouldn't abatement, part of our abatement process be to correct the issue? Do we have CDBG funds to correct the issue? To let him get back in his house?
I talked to the gentleman before. Let me talk to staff before, because I think some of this stuff does not need to be made public. So let me talk to them.
Okay, let me tell you what's supposed to happen to this man. You cannot, if there's a problem, the law states you abate the nuisance. If there's a problem with clutter, you abate the clutter. If there's a problem with the windows, you abate that. But you cannot go in and remove someone from their house unless the health, do we have anything about the health authority being in there? And then you can't not do it then. You have to provide someone a place. If you do CDBG and anything of that nature, we have to provide a place for someone to go. The city has to pay for it. We cannot, it's not the police fault. It's what they were called to do and told to do by someone in the city. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of these, again, the law requires us to abate the nuisance. Whatever the problem is, we abate that. He was not the problem. There may be a condition and then in doing that, we need to talk to some neighbors or something, a family member. There may be another underlying condition why that condition exists. So we can't, again, the humanity, just because we have a house or some place to live that's decent, it may be, we cannot, just because we have a job, treat people as they're not human. The same one you step on going up, you may pass them going down. So all I'm saying is, get the man some help. We talked about it last time, and we're supposed to get the help, and we're back in the same condition again. I see him sitting out on the side of the road. The man needs a place to stay, and the city has to pay for it.
The Anniston City School Board met in a work session to go over the school system's financial standing. Chief School Financial Officer Johanna Martin briefed the school board on how finances are doing.
Well, I mentioned our ADM. So the ADM really is the foundation of our funding. And presented in this slide is our average daily membership, which is really just our attendance, our school attendance for the last 5 years. And as you can see, there has been a decline in our attendance. Presented below is the current attendance. I'm happy to say that we're up 45 students from last year's ADM report. All right, so here's a look at our ADM for comparing 2020 to 2021 by local schools. So you can see overall, we decreased 123 students, with the greatest portion of that at our high school and our elementary school. Also, the ADM turns around and it also determines how many units we're going to receive from the state. So our ADM for the last period determined how many teachers, principals, assistant principals, counselors, and so on we have received allocations for in budgeting for fiscal year 21. So you can see we did receive a decrease in teachers as a result of the decline in our enrollment. And in this slide, I'm giving a view of last year to this year. All right, so now what does that mean for our money? Okay, so again, the state foundation program, the portion made up of state and local funds. You can see overall we had about a $750,000 decrease in funding as a result. The greatest portion of that, of course, is in the salaries and the fringe benefits for the teacher units that we lost. There was also a direct effect on our classroom instructional support areas as well. For fiscal year 21, our local match is $3.2 million for fiscal year 21, and the capital match is $161,000. All right, so the other portion of the foundation program is focused on the Education Trust Fund, previously known as the Special Education Trust Fund. It was enacted in 1927 and it was created for education purposes. So the ETF is funded through a variety of state taxes. All right, we should note that ETF does not include all state funds sent for K-12 systems. There's also an allocation for our nurses, our technology support, transportation, capital purchase, at-risk, and career tech operations and maintenance. So overall, when we look at our funding for the general fund, this is what we see. In this slide, I'm comparing fiscal year 2020 to 2021. And there's a change in our state fund of $1.1 million, with most of that coming from the EFT fund. I should also note that we also receive funds from the state for the Alabama Reading Initiative, English as a second language, gifted education in our preschool program. And I'm just taking a look here at what it was from 20 to 21, and we did receive an increase in fiscal year 21 for these particular funds. All right, a closer examination of the revenues for our general fund. You take a look at this slide, the foundation program at 8.7 million is of course the largest portion. 48% of our funds come from the foundation program. Total revenues projected for fiscal year 21 based on our allocations, 18,135,796. A look at the offsetting expenditures. Total expenditures, 17,952,996. The largest part of this, you will notice, is in instruction and instruction support. I'm going to get a little bit more detailed in that in a few slides as we talk about personnel, because that's primarily what's causing the large numbers here. So when we look at the overall balance for our general fund, revenues of 18,135,796, less expenditures of 17,952,996, with the beginning fund balance of 829,521. Our projected ending balance for September 30th is $1,012,321. It should be noted here that Anniston has come a long way, and we should be proud of that. In fiscal year 18, our fund balance was a negative $694,495. Fiscal year 19, we were back on the positive side. We ended with $749,734. In fiscal year 20, we're scheduled to surpass that. So we're on the right track.
Athletic revenues. And so over the last few weeks, my team and I have been examining what's happening to funds. And we're talking about when we have athletic events, what's going on in the ticket booths and what's happening to the money, sessions, we're collecting money for parking, pre-sales, there's money coming in different ways, and I found some major discrepancies. So some of those discrepancies that we found is that there are really no strong, a nice way to say this, there's no strong controls over the funds that are being generated from our athletic events. And so we need to turn that around. In regards to ticket booths, right now we're asking our teachers to volunteer, and I've been told that it's not always easy to get teachers to volunteer to, you know, stay for the game or come to the game and collect the money, but even in that, they don't have set procedures.
Oh,
and
I've done it.
You've done it?
I've done it. Yes.
Yeah, so
that's the tickets and the money.
and so technically there's an inventory process for the money for everything. You start
Yeah.
with the tickets and you end with this, and the money has to match it. We reconcile that to the deposit.
Not hard.
That's not really going on. And it's probably because you've got, you know, teacher volunteers, they're volunteering their own time and haven't really been trained that there's a process to it. In our concession stands, we have parents running those concession stands, so we don't have control over those concession stands. And we're very grateful for our parents who are volunteering to do that for us. We want to partner with them because we've got to put controls in place. Collection of the parking fees. There's just a lot of gray area there. So all that to say, my group has been meeting with principals and talking about processes. Once the money is collected at the end of the night, what's happening to the money? How's it getting to the bank? Are controls in place? Is it actually hitting our general ledger? And there are gaps in all of that. So I wanted to bring that to you all's attention because when we looked at other school systems, they have something that's just called, you know, athletic staff. So we may have to have supplements in place because controls are going to have to be put in place. I've talked to my team about us being directly involved in athletics revenues. but my team is not big enough to be at every event and, you know, be in every particular stand, but we can put the controls in place and we can make sure that money is accounted for and it's getting to where it needs to be. So the other systems that we talked to said that yes, we are required to give the state allocation, which we were in agreement with, but it was optional whether or not we wanted to give them federal funds. And so the current agreement that we have for fiscal year 20 ends on September 30th. Per that agreement, it states that we will provide the additional teacher, we will provide the 2 aides in those services like the software costs and internet service. We are currently in the process of renegotiating that agreement, and we will not be providing federal funds to them in the future. Instead, we will use those funds for our own students here for the benefit of students directly in the Anniston City School system.
So what will happen to those students? Will they come from the other counties? They'll keep more money in?
Well, I don't know that the other counties, they also have the option to kick more money in federally, or Coosa Valley will step up to meet those expenses. In regard to the teacher and aides that we will pay in there, one of the aides resigned. The other aide we are in discussion with about possibly bringing them on directly as a staff member here in one of our schools.
Are all those employees tenured? Do you know that we're paying out of this fund?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I can answer that. We are now checking with that, and we're checking from a legal standpoint as well to make sure that we're going in the right direction as far as that one employee. The gist here, Mr. Board President, board members, is that Anniston City Schools was paying out funding for Coosa Valley that we were not really truly responsible for paying out. So that resulted in those 2 employees that we just mentioned, those instructional aides, as well as things like cable, internet, things of that nature that we were paying out from Anniston City Schools funds that could directly impact us here instead. So Coosa Valley will be more than capable of taking care of what they need to take care of in the future in terms of the amount of money that they receive from the state.
Did I hear something about one employee who's checking on whether they tenure or not?
Yes, so that's part of what Dr. Hill and I agreed to reach out to our board attorney to make sure that we're in line with the moves that we're making.
So that's our responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Because they're on our payroll. Yes.
How they on our payroll?
That's what we're trying to decide, because we both agree that right now they're not really under our payroll, but technically they are.
Anniston City Schools Superintendent Dr. D. Ray Hill says the initial opening of school went fairly well.
It was. The only surprise again was the fact that so many parents dropped their children off. But we had high expectations because our teachers had been talking with our students and the administrators getting the message out of the importance of social distancing and, you know, just trying to be safe.
Also, another high school has Chromebooks, right?
Yes.
Middle school and elementary school Chromebooks?
All of our students have Chromebooks from K through 12. Even our pre-K students have small electronic tablets that they're doing work on as well. So we are fortunate through that CARES Act money and other donations that we're able to provide an electronic device for all of our students right now.
And based on the budget presentation, are you pretty pleased with it? Are we turning back around?
Yes. I felt good because she's been working day and night, putting in weekends. We talked in the beginning when she got here some of the barriers and things that we had to get across, and you know we're not where we want to be with the fund balance, but just to know that you've jumped into the black now instead of having to play catch up. We still have a long way to go though, but very pleased at what I've seen so far, not just from her but from the other departments in trying to streamline some of the things we do with our budget.
And you got new buses too.
Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more news and developments